Hi guys, I'm Chris,
And Mike.
and welcome back to this week's No Limits Mitch Rap podcast. How you doing this week, Mike?
I'm all right. My soccer team, both our soccer teams today
Both
took
our
a
soccer
big
teams.
hit. So
Big L, big old L.
yeah, maybe there's a fun fact about Mitch Rap Pod. I bet very few listeners would have guessed is we're both pretty big European soccer fans.
Very big European soccer fans.
Well, you the Premier League.
I'm a Premier League guy. You got me rooting for Roma though. I was really sad.
That's England, everybody. Premier League.
And now there's so many. I saw they're trying to make like a Premier Golf League to
What?
compete with the PGA. It's like they're doing the whole Super League thing. Like
The
but for
Premier is a
golf.
brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
boy.
I don't know. Everyone's trying to
Brits.
break off, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a sad day, and
Yeah. Arsenal lost, and my team Roma from Serie A in Italy lost. So, oh, well, that kind of fits the theme of being bummed out. Also, with the second half of Pursuit of Honor.
yeah, yeah. I think both of our teams are not going to win the leagues, or not even like
No.
in the good spots for the league, and so this will be the first time Arsenal hasn't seen European
Competition,
football
yeah.
in like many years. So
Yeah, a couple of decades probably.
sad day, kind of like the ending of this book, but.
Yeah.
Should we go there yet, or no? Let's do the updates first. Do the
All right, yeah.
updates.
We got any updates to share?
Yeah, just one. So as we mentioned in the last pod, we ran out of. We no longer have our autographed copies of the book, but we're still going to do giveaways. This month is going to be a pick your choice, either a wrap paperback or a wrap Kindle book, whichever one you like. So for our patrons, if you want to join, just go to our website, mitchrappod.com. Click that little orange button and subscribe or sign up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about it.
All right.
That's what you got to look forward to. Maybe next month we'll do a T-shirt. Do you see Kyle? Oh, we got to mention. Do you see Kyle
Yes.
with his T-shirt? That's
Oh, man.
what we got to mention.
He was looking fly, and we got him the black T-shirt, right? That
Yes.
looked great.
Look crisp. Not that gray. Don't. We changed the default. So
Yeah.
you
The
stay
gray
clear of the
T-shirts,
gray. Stay
they
clear
were
of the
like
gray.
a B-. They weren't cutting it. The
David was
black-
nice. He didn't
Yeah.
rip it on his unboxing, but it was pretty bad.
The black and the navy, though, is made from a different cloth, and let me tell you, those ones are mint. So,
Yeah, and if you like hoodies, I got my dad a hoodie, and my dad wears it like every day. He loves it.
the hoodie's pretty
It's-
fly.
the
Well,
hoodie
David
is
got
the-
his.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to make up for David buying
Yeah.
a bum T-shirt and send him a better thing. So
We hooked him up with the navy hoodie, which, man, that thing is soft. That thing is nice.
nice. I got the Atrium Mystery Bus in a nice soft hoodie. So I'm glad he's looking fly.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, you know what I just thought? Thinking of shout-outs, this episode is coming out the day after Mother's Day,
Yes.
right?
Happy Mother's Day
Yes, indeed.
to all the mothers. To have all the rap mothers out there. Yes.
Yeah, so I put something out there saying we want to shout out any rap moms. I think I said hashtag moms for Mitch. And
Nice.
the cool thing is Best Thriller Books, awesome account, by the way, at Best Thriller Books, BTB. Check them out. They do a whole lot of thriller reviews, and they are doing a mom segment, and they have a few testimonies of moms who got into rap and are now big rap fans. So they're going to be running something or posting it this Sunday. Well, you guys are listening to this next week.
Yesterday.
So on Mother's Day. Yep.
Yes.
But we had a few chime in. So let me find that post. I think it was in Fans of Mitch Rap. Who were our moms who responded? We had one or two. Karen. Shout out to Karen Matthias Garrett. Thank
Happy
you
Mother's
for
Day.
jumping in. And Nancy Sheps Sayers. Happy to have you guys following on Facebook and for chiming in on our Moms for Mitch post.
Yes. I'm trying to get my mom into Mitch, so we'll see.
All right, there we go. There we go.
My dad purchased American Assassin, and he's gonna start reading it. So
Nice. Yeah, American Assassin, man, June.
whole rap family.
The Rap Furman family. I like it. Hey, well, let's just jump into this because I'm looking forward to June. I know you are too, with American
just ready for
Assassin, right? But let's bang out Pursuit of Honor. Let's get to it.
Part 2.
Unfortunately, I have a limerick for you because
Oh, man.
my thoughts on a book are best summed up in the form of a limerick. But
I've been waiting for this all day.
This one's a bit of a downer. I'm just going to warn you. So
Give it to us.
all right. The Distinguished Intelligence Cross, a worthy honor bestowed by the boss. Nash gets praised, and Kareem becomes crazed. The path of a madman this family will cross. King of the hill or bottom of the barrel? Well, my rating might start a quarrel. It's not Vince's best, but hey, look at what's next. American Assassin, deserving of all the laurel.
Very good, Mike. Very good.
I gotta say,
you brought it home there with a spin on some positivity at the very
trying
end,
to keep it positive. But I'm just gonna do this, Chris. I have to. I'm gonna put it out there. This is the lowest so far that we've covered. This is bottom.
We're cutting
of the barrel.
right to the ratings. Right to the ratings at the top.
I had to get it off my chest, man. This is I was generous giving it a C-, and that's probably because of the end scene. Kind of got my attention a little bit.
But did it though? Like it's kind of cool, but not.
We're gonna get there.
It's a chapter. It's a chapter.
It was too scrunched. It was. We're gonna get there, man. We're gonna get there.
No, so I agree with you. This book, I also gave it a C-. I gave it a 6.9, which I don't think technically is a C-, but whatever. It's our grading system. We can do what we want. Yeah. So why couldn't this be like Extreme Measures? Be, don't put the NCTC scene at the very end of Extreme Measures.
Right.
Like you had the bombings go off.
Right.
And then you could have cut it there, like had a really huge cliffhanger, like right after the bombs go off. And then you start this out in medias res, like with the NCTC scene. And then I think this elevates that book up because you have that whole, you just start like full-fledged action.
Absolutely.
And where instead we have this whole build up. Mitch is like, I don't know. I was trying to do the timeline of this book.
It's 6 days after the restaurant bombings.
Yeah.
Or the NCTC bombings.
NCTC, but like the actual book, like what we see in the book, I think it's like 3 days from the time they pick up Glenn Adams to the time that they meet back at the Lake Anna house.
Lake Anna. Which is crazy because you get this random scene with Rapp flying to the Bahamas.
And he previously flew to like the middle of the Atlantic to meet with like the heads of two foreign
the Azores. He flew to the Azores, like on the coast of Africa, like they're Portuguese islands, but I believe they're off the western coast of Africa. And it's like, and then he goes to the Bahamas to randomly meet with this banker and picks up. And it just so happens Hakeem is there.
I know,
like at that exact
part,
moment.
Oh my god,
and
that part.
And then there's something about a Russian whiz kid, like some millionaire Russian in his 20s, and a Cuban general, and I'm just like, this Cuban dictator. Like, what is happening?
I think that's a great point to jump off on because when we left off, so the theme for our episode this time is again, it's all talk, no action, part 2.
Right.
And when we last left off Rapp, in his storyline, they have like this lead on this Johnson guy who they believe he's bugged the shrink. They're worried about what he's found out. This is all like information they got from Adams, right? And so they go to this club in the shady part of DC, which now is like not a shady part of DC. It's
right. H Street.
H Street. I guess 2008, right?
Yeah, 20 years ago, that was probably... You don't want to be there going to a nightclub.
Well, definitely I'm trying to think. 2008, I was a freshman in college. That was like the beginning. Like the first like maybe 3 blocks of H Street was starting.
It was starting to turn.
So I could see a club there.
Now it's so hipster.
Oh my god! What is it called? Noma. It's called Noma. It's got like one of those.
They're making up names, and they put this expensive trolley in. Like that nobody ever rides and always breaks down and causes accidents. Like,
because it used to be
that
there. Like
neighborhood's a mess.
it used to
Sure.
be there. Like back when DC was,
Yeah,
its
but
heyday.
I mean, I'm all for like historical throwbacks, but that trolley is a waste of taxpayer money and jams up the traffic. I mean, you're trying to pull like a San Francisco and like, rely on these like historical routes, but come on.
Yeah, you're better off like putting more money into the metro than putting that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyways, so we get some action. Like, I think this is the first time we actually get some action in this novel with Scott and team. We meet a new guy named Reavers, right?
Mick Reavers, yes.
Yeah.
The muscle. So
Muscle.
we got to talk Scott here because he plays a role, but he's not in on the action. And we saw this earlier with Maslick, right? Maslick was the muscle over in Afghanistan to Rapp and Nash doing these interrogations. And now you get Mick Reavers, and both times I think you and I were like, well, where's Scott? Why isn't Scott running these things? But I kind of like this role Scott has taken on as the planning and logistics guy. Like, I was okay that he was outside the club and Reavers went in with Rapp because it shows Scott, I feel like, is moving on. He's kind of, and I think that's a SEAL quality, right? To be able to direct your men and pick the right men and see through the planning and logistics. So I kind of like that Scott is playing that role and picking guys like Reavers.
Well, he's a consummate leader. He was in charge of SEAL Team 6, so that makes sense.
So I like seeing that side of Scott, even if he's not in on the act. Like, would I have liked to see Scott and Rapp rolling up on these bouncers, these Russians outside the club, and just kicking ass? Sure. But I think Scott in the leadership position is definitely where his skill set is. It's in his wheelhouse.
And so to contrast that to a book we're going to get to in the future, might be Enemy of the State. The one where like Grisha almost kills Scott, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Scott actually runs into a warehouse and gets shot.
Yeah.
Like this is in contrast to that where Scott, doesn't play the Mitch role here. He plays, it was a cool little buddy cop scene,
Right.
I like that. And of course Scott has this line, which, Star Wars fans will know, like someone like Han Solo, like says, I have a bad feeling about this.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
When Rapp takes out the taser and a couple guns, and
well, he also uses the
baton,
the Billy Club. Yeah, the baton. That was pretty cool. And I like Reavers as backup because here's how Vince describes him. And Reavers, I mean, is going to be around for a while. He describes him as where is it? No, quote: Mick Reavers was Coleman's one-man wrecking crew. He was built like an NFL linebacker, only meaner. If you're rolling up in the club to take some guy, pick him right from the Russian mobster's hands, I'd want a Reavers with me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But whoa. What the hell happened to Hackett and Strobel? The law firm, remember Hackett and Strobel? 1-800-HACKETT and Strobel if you have mesothelioma. Like, where'd they go?
Yeah, we don't see them. We need to pick up on if they come back into the story. So later on, we get Wicker. Wicker's back.
Oh yeah, Wick comes back. He's around. I feel like Hackett and Strobel are just donezo. They're just written out.
They're just written out.
Am I wrong? I don't think they're mentioned.
They're not mentioned here, but they could come up again in other books in the future.
I don't know. We'll have to see because they were the original two that Scott started the SEAL Demolition Company with.
Right, and then
they were the OGs.
They had to like Wicker was still in the service. And they would bring him in as like a private contractor. And then like he came out and then joined the crew to be like a 4-man crew. But Wicker was always the guy. Because like the scene where Scott down in the Philippines, right? Where Scott, Hackett and Strobel, they're like climbing up that mountain and Wicker's like on the other side, right? Yeah. Or with, but yeah, we get new characters.
What's that Shakespeare? Like those two characters who were just in the background and then they disappeared. And they wrote a whole nother story. Rosenstern and Guildenkrantz.
Yeah, there we go. I was going to say Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Wait, no, I think that's it. What did I say? I think you were right.
Oh, either
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Hackett and Strobel are dead.
Could be.
Maybe they'll get their own, novella. Maybe it'll be Mitrap Live on stage starring Hackett and Strobel.
It's like Law and Order where you just like have these,
mm-hmm.
you have Rapp and and Coleman, who are your main two, and then you bring in an iced tea for a couple episodes, and then you bring in someone else. But
yeah, but
I just
mean
want
that's the club scene. Yeah,
I want to ask you about like why. So then you bring in this Russian guy, Sidorov, right? Who's head of the club. He's the one who's contracted Johnson, which is why Johnson's at this club. I know that I guess they're pressed for time,
right.
but why rush this and go pick up Johnson here?
Dude, that's my exact question. I had the same thought. There was no purpose.
Wait till he leaves the club. Wait till he leaves the club.
Wait till he leaves the club. Like there's no imminent threat that they're aware of. I mean, if there wasn't,
they're just trying to find the terrorist,
track down the terrorist who already made their hit.
And it's not like it's within the first 48 hours. Like it's been a week,
right? It's 6 days. Yeah. The only thing I could think of is that window of escape. Right? If you do know you have 48 hours before these guys can evade you completely, or you'll lose all traces. Maybe you got to push the envelope a little, but the dude's in a club. You know he's going to leave in a few hours. Or you set him up with some, hooker and you watch him leave and you trap him, right? Like, there's got to be better ways to go about this.
That
what comes through in the writing. Rapp was itching for a fight. Remember Coleman's Coleman tried calling him out saying, yo, I can see you're itching for a fight. Like, slow your roll. And Rapp's like, yeah, I'm fucking ready to go. It's game time.
I guess they're pissed off because he tapped the shrink who, Doc Lewis, who knows what sort of secrets this guy has and has been selling. So, maybe he's been selling information about their operatives and they need to get, I guess I didn't think about that,
yeah,
how much clandestine information this guy has actually been selling. But I agree with you. It seems like it's kind of late night.
Right.
The guy's not going to be at the club all night. So why put yourself in that situation?
Yeah,
he sees that there's these 4 huge bouncers out here. One of them's Russian, all tattered up. They know that this club is owned by a Russian gangster, presumably.
Yeah.
And then the whole interaction between Sidorov and Rapp, where
he's like, "Come work for me."
He gives him his business card and says, "Give me a call sometime." Like,
Yeah. It kind of made me think of what Kyle did in Lethal Agent with Rapp going to work for the drug lords and the cartel leaders who were, and then another cartel leader
to do that.
Sure, but I'm saying that scene where another cartel leader tried to steal Rapp from him, where he was like, "Hey, come work for me. I might have some jobs for you now that you're in the game with us." And so I was just like, I don't know if I need any of that. Which Rapp uses to his advantage, right? He accepts the meeting, thinking if he can get dirt on Sidorov, he might be able to use him in some way, which he does use him to get the details from this Cuban dictator. He flies to the Bahamas, and the Cuban guy gives up the bank account of the bank that was holding Kareem and Hakeem's money, and Hakeem happens to be standing there at the exact minute that Rapp shows up to interrogate this banker, and just a little forced for me, but... We do have a bit of an interrogation, though, once they take Johnson out of the club.
We do.
And I do like the little game that Mitch is threatening to play.
Foot, right knee, left knee.
Left foot, left knee, right knee. He says it like 3 times as Johnson is stuttering and scared shitless. And he does shoot him in the foot, right?
He does, but it's only a flesh wound. Rapp says it'll heal up in 2 weeks.
'Tis but a flesh wound. Is that the only time Rapp fires a gun no, until the very end. But...
No, he kills the Kareem.
Yeah, I mean, the very end, but I think that really is a lot of the action besides the final scene. That's all the action.
Rapp only kills 1 guy this entire book?
Do you think this is the book Rapp kills the least amount of people in? It just might be.
Yeah, because he stops Glenn Adams from dying.
Mm-hmm. They don't kill Johnson. They use him later. He becomes like the Marcus of the second half for some reason. Why? I don't know.
I don't think there's no other like person that Rapp would need to kill. Yeah,
I think so. It's just Kareem.
It's one kill this entire book.
Wow, that's something. If you ask
Well,
me
I mean,
that as a
coming
trivia
off
question,
of last novel where we had a rap take out 6 guys in a matter of 42 seconds,
right, or less. I guess Nash got the first one. Nash shot the
right?
first
So
one.
5 guys.
Yo, but this, even if there's not action with guns and pew pew, pretty good interrogation playing left foot, left knee, right knee. Listen to what Rapp says to Max Johnson, this computer techie working for the CIA and now working against the CIA with Glenn Adams. Rapp says, quote, "I know more shit about you than you can even begin to imagine, Max. You fucking hold back on me one more time and this will get real ugly. I mean Saddam Hussein, third world, shove a thermometer up your pecker and smack it with a hammer ugly. Shove your head in a bucket full of your own shit ugly. That's what we do to traitors." We don't see it happen, but I like the threat.
I do like the threat. I like the threat a lot.
Right.
I don't know. This whole, again, there's many reasons why I have a problem with this novel, but a lot of the scenes or situations that Vince wanted to put Rapp in just didn't all fit together. This novel was very much just like a hodgepodge of things to finish up a storyline, you know. And it's almost like you can tell, like we mentioned in the last book, he's itching to write American Assassin,
right?
You know, with the many hints that he's writing, but he has to finish up the previous novel,
ends.
You know, loose ends. And again, like I almost feel like you could have, or condensed Extreme Measures.
True.
Because that did have a lot of build up to the action. Condense that, and then. But I'm not gonna, like, I did really.
You had
enjoy
to build
Extreme
up
Measures.
Nash. Yeah, same. You had to take the time to
build
up Nash.
You did, and I think that plays out here where we get this whole realization. Let's go to. I don't want to touch on Nash's celebration yet, and like,
sure, yeah, that'll be our ending.
But I do agree that I don't know, this book just on many levels just didn't work for me.
Well, here's actually it might be the scene that rubbed me the wrong way more so than any other, and it's just what you're saying, where pieces just don't seem to fit. They seem a little forced, and it's the Judiciary Committee hearing, which is a staple, right, of a Flynn novel. I'm just pumped every novel to see who is Rapp going to outsmart, outwit, and mouth off with, or mouth off to. And even better if it's in one of these committee hearings, because, you know, that's usually where Flynn excels. And this time, Rapp's going to have someone on his side, Senator Lonsdale, who, after the attack, is kind of on their side, and she wants to support Rapp, Irene, and crew. But there's a new woman who's in this little like girls group with Senator Lonsdale. A bunch of the female senators are hanging out. Ogden, and Ogden is giving Mitch the business. She calls him a barbarian. She says, "You're the traitor. We're gonna lock you up. We have evidence that you dislocated this dude's shoulder." She's really, really railing on Mitch. And he keeps his cool like he did in Extreme Measures. He's about to respond in a very measured way, but something ticks and he just goes off on a tangent about abortion. And
well,
I'm
this
like,
is the information
what?
that Lonsdale gave him. This information, like she was somehow able to get her talking points, give him talking points. And I don't know, this was just way out of left field. This entire
was so
chapter.
Weird.
I wasn't even really going to touch on it just because I know, like, me and you stand on this pretty similar. We're both Catholics, so we stand a certain way. But this was just so strange to be reading in my thriller novel. I don't know. Like, I don't want to like say that I don't want it in my thriller novel. I think it's an important issue to bring up. Sure. But
it just didn't fit.
It didn't fit.
It didn't fit.
I mean, I know like what Mitch Vince is. He's Christian, right? So he always tries to put some of his, feelings on politics, feelings on topics. And so this was his opportunity to do that. I felt like the point of it was to bring out the hypocrisy.
Right, exactly. She's calling Rapp a barbarian, and Rapp is bringing up her voting record on, doctors using a syringe or whatever to suck the brains through the cranium of a fetus. Like, I get it. But it was so forced. I feel like Vince, what you said, is usually really skilled at within the story and the motivations of the characters and the dialogue about the plot, bringing in his perspective. Like if there is a battlefield maneuver going on in Pakistan, he won't shy away from the politics of like, this general works for the ISI and is, doing this shit. Or the Saudis. He'll drop in something about his personal beliefs on, extremism and Wahhabism in the Saudi royal family is fueling terrorism and we shouldn't turn a blind eye. But it's all in the context of the story. Rap just goes on a tangent about this. I was like, I don't see how it relates. I get the logical argument he's trying to say about Ogden shouldn't call him the barbarian when he's really the patriot. But to have him go that insane on it just didn't advance the plot for me. And then maybe even worse, like salt in the wounds, Kennedy and Nash kind of practically high-five him off to the side when it's over. And like, man, you were so inspirational. Where'd you get that from? You made the best argument ever. And I'm like, no, he didn't. He made an argument that had nothing to do with the conversation. But they were all just like self-congratulating each other. And it just felt weird.
Yeah. Again,
it was cheap.
I felt like you could have that could have been a point, but there's other points that this person, I'm blanking on the senator's name. Ogden. Right. Where I'm sure if she votes on that same line, there's probably other things that, he could have like pounded her with multiple different hypocrisies, and that would have made more sense than just
maybe
like going
budgeting.
on and
budgeting about defense, or, I guess she's on judiciary. So someone they gave a light sentence to who then relapsed and committed some act of terrorism, or nail her on something like that.
I don't know. It felt out of it. When I was reading it or listening to it, it just felt strange.
And I'm with you though. Like I would agree otherwise with Rap's argument. I'm not saying I don't actually quite pro-life in that regard.
I am pro-life in that regard.
But in big time. But in terms of storytelling, I didn't need Rap giving me, this whole charade about that, because to me it didn't fit the plot.
Yeah, because especially I don't think that Rap believed it.
Right. I don't know.
It didn't feel like it was Rap was actually believing what he was saying.
Right.
He was just bringing up a point to, because Rap's obviously not pro-life. Like,
well,
I mean, he could be.
Debate for another time.
He
is preserving life. I mean, he's taking what he would say are the necessary actions to, on a wider scale, preserve life. I would agree with that. I mean, then we could get into just war theory, which I guess you're right. Clandestine maneuvers like that wouldn't necessarily fit with the, Catholic understanding of just war theory and targeted assassinations unless the threat is imminent, which often with Rap, it's not imminent. He still kills the bastards just because they're bad dudes. So yeah, you're right. Maybe it's not the best pro-life platform, but he believes. I think if you get into the mind of the characters, Kennedy, Scott, all of them would say, we are saving lives. We are preserving life by taking these actions.
I agree with that. I don't know. It's just it's a sticky situation that it just felt out of place to me. So
right.
Anyways,
right. Yeah, that was a little philosophical again.
Oh, we're going deep on.
Well, it's not that deep. A bunch of terrorists in an RV getting lost between Iowa and Missouri, just driving in circles.
Again, so another. I'm so down on this book. Sorry, guys. So the terrorists, right? They rush and leave the Iowa camp after Kareem hastily shoots his father and son. They get lost. The two turn on each other, and the one like highlight of this book, like I think we mentioned last time, was the inner conflict with Hakeem and how Vince is sort of, I think, portraying some sort of ideal here about how you have to work from, you can't just tell these people how to think. They have to come to it on their own and realize what they're doing is wrong. And I enjoyed his inner dialogue, but it kind of seemed to me, I don't know, like three bumbling idiots in an RV, like not knowing what to do after having so well planned, the attack in the previous
Mhm.
book. I guess you can argue that Kareem is becoming unhinged.
Exactly.
And which culminates in the final scene of this book, or the final action of this book, where he just
Right.
drives on the Lincoln Memorial and starts shooting people, and
Right.
thinks that that's how he's going to get his last stand. But to me, I wanted more Kareem inner dialogue. I wanted to see more. To me, this reminds me a lot of. Hear me out.
Okay.
The season finale, or the last season of Game of Thrones. Okay, so many people go apeshit over Daenerys burning the city, right? A spoiler alert if you haven't watched Game of Thrones. Sorry, I should have put
That's
that
exactly what's happening to Kareem here. You're so right about that.
He and people's arguments with why that was uncharacteristic was because people didn't really understand, didn't see Daenerys turning. It was like almost like a light switch with her. Like, I think if you really argue and you dissect it, you can kind of see how she has turned over time from the very beginning to where she gets to. Anyways, that's a different podcast.
No, I think it definitely fits. It's a power, right? Like, power is corrupting.
Yeah, and that's what Vince is trying to portray here with Kareem, and how he is going insane and turning on his very best friend to the point where he's going to kill him.
Right.
They go to this random house, kill this guy to get it, and he doesn't. Yeah. Then they're in this house, he's like, I don't like this house. Like, we need to get out of here. And then Ahmed even says, all right, well, Kareem's going to kill you, so you need to drive away, which is how Hakeem gets away.
Gives him the keys.
Gives him the keys. And then Hakeem goes in this whole, he's able to like get away, get a plane. Those scenes were like filler to me.
True.
And then he ends up in the Bahamas at the very same time that Rap ends up
where
in the
Rap
Bahamas.
picks him up.
Yeah.
So I like everything you said, and I really like the Game of Thrones stuff. It's power and ego corrupting, and I think you're right. What happens to Daenerys leading to the burning of the city is really, really close what happens to Kareem. But the one thing I will say I quite enjoyed, though, is the dynamic between the three fools, the three stooges. And the reason I liked it is I think I saw the nuances of Vince's usual writing come through in their interactions more than any other characters in this novel. Usually every character is so in tune or just has this quality to them that you really embrace. And I get that in Ahmed, how he wants to help Hakeem, but he can't be seen by Kareem because he is brainwashed by Kareem and he doesn't want to face the consequences. But he is open to the change of heart that Hakeem has had. And Ahmed, if given more time, I think, would have turned. I think he would have joined Hakeem in wanting to escape. And the other thing I liked about their interactions, little details this time that work for me, that I don't think were anywhere else in the novel, but they work here. Hakeem is driving the RV and he's like, guys, we're in trouble because we're passing a whole lot of other RVs on the road. And Kareem's like, that's a good thing. We'll just blend in. And he goes, no, they all wave to each other and everyone driving the RVs are old people. And here's like a younger, youthful brown dude, right? Driving through middle America in an RV a week after a terrorist attack. Right. And Hakeem is tuned into that, but Kareem just writes him off and is like, that's stupid. I kind of like those little details and these relationships between the characters. It's actually one of the things that I think in this novel is most Flynnian that comes through.
I would agree. So their final downfall, right, is the cell phones. And
right.
Kareem is mad about the Hakeem buying these cell phones, and even like claims like I didn't tell you to do this, even though apparently they had a conversation about it.
Yeah.
What did you think? Like, they just came in. They were almost like a MacGuffin to me. Like these cell phones are the reason, ultimately, how they're able to find Kareem and figure out he's in DC.
Well, that's true. Max Johnson does ping a cell tower and figure out they're going back to DC. But there's something else I like about the cell phones that we really can't talk about until we jump into this final scene. It's how eventually Hakeem kind of turns. And when he's taken by Rap, he's willing to play the game. And in the interrogations, Rap is like, what the hell? This guy's not lying. He's telling me everything. He's telling me the truth. He's giving me all these details that prove he's complicit. What the hell's going on? And they eventually are able to use Hakeem, who does comply and helps take down Kareem and really save the day. And so I'm going to like the cell phones for that, with the voicemails where Hakeem is calling Kareem to piss him off. And he's leaving him voicemails. And Rap's like, get him as fucking buck wild crazy as you can. Say the meanest, nastiest shit to push his buttons. You're his best friend. You know how to push his buttons. And that eventually is what makes Kareem make a mistake and gives Rap the advantage. So Hakeem, sorta, kinda, last episode, we talked about that redemption arc. I don't think Hakeem is redeemed, and he may not even be redeemable, but he does take some redeemable actions and qualities here that I'm proud of him for. So Hakeem, to me, great character.
Yeah, Rap even says at the end of the novel, like Johnson, Coleman even speaks up for Johnson, saying like he's very useful. We need him. They're still like debating what to do with Glenn Adams, but Rap even says, Hakeem, I don't know what to do with him. He proved very useful. Yeah. We got to like figure out like what he actually did in terms of like logistics with that whole terrorist attack, which obviously was very heavily involved in. But he does have a mild redemption here and helps, the good guys win in the very end. He's
that enigma that makes someone like a Rap or a Kennedy who's like, oh, I'm so seasoned, I've been through this, I know everything about these guys, and I'm the Middle East expert. Hakeem is kind of like that very complex enigma that kind of cracks your world, your code of ethics that you think is always right, black and white world, no gray. I don't know. I feel like Hakeem brings that gray zone into the picture that kind of gets Rap to stop and question and say, like, maybe we can work with or turn some of these guys.
Right.
I like that.
Definitely.
All right, the big one.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's Nash time. It's Nash's party.
Right. So right after the Judiciary Committee meeting, Rap rushes him over to the White House and pulls like I think they even describe it in the book as like this. He's taking him to a surprise 40th birthday party.
Yeah.
Where he gets outed. He gets exposed as a undercover operative, gets a big shiny medal, and has to talk to the press. And now he's Rap's boss, which.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, like, in these novels, he's still Rap's boss, but we see less and less of him as the novels go on. Yeah, so, but this is ultimately which causes his children to get, or his daughter to get kidnapped.
Vulnerabilities.
And Rap even says, like, I thought this was a possibility. I just didn't think it was going to happen this quickly, literally a day after, I put him up on this poster. Can you fault Rap?
Is Rap to blame?
I mean, so Irene was complicit in this. His wife was complicit in it.
The wife more than Irene, I would say. Remember, Rap kind of hatched this plan and said to Irene, I actually got an idea. There might be something I'm working on. And he kind of leaves Irene out a little bit until the very end.
But I think Irene even wanted Rap to be there too. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Irene.
Oh, Rap kind of ducks out. The Oval Office,
Irene wants a better life for both of them, knowing that, and Rap sees that Nash needs to be the family man. He can't be doing this stuff anymore. I wish Nash could have gotten on his own terms. Obviously, he was like messed up in the head for what happened last week, but I don't know. In the end, I think it was the right thing to do.
Right.
I think it was the natural progression of. But you could argue either way, whether he's still inside or he's outed.
Right.
His family was vulnerable. So.
Right. Is it Rap's fault, though? Well, here's the flip side of that, right? Even if, and I partially do think it's Rap's fault in that he made the Nash family more vulnerable by putting them up to the press and probably should have upped the security on them. But, the flip side of that is, look, they've never been happier as a family. The White House scene, the kids are there, Maggie's there. Rory's lacrosse game. They go to Rory's lacrosse. Rory's pretty good at lacrosse, which you know what I'm thinking. Is Rory Nash going to come back someday?
Could be.
Lacrosse star,
Rap.
Uber athlete. Look at his age, right? Probably right in the wheelhouse of recruiting in the current Rap universe.
Nash probably wouldn't never let him do it though.
No, but I mean, it could be one of those. If you do bring back Nash, son, stay out of it. I've seen the shit. I want you to go be a banker or something, get out of this life. But Rory is looking up to Uncle Mitch. Could that reignite the tension between Mitch and Mike over which path Rory should take? And imagine if Mitch has to be that Stan Hurley figure. I feel like the Nash family, man, we got to talk to Kyle, but I feel like the Nash family's got to come back. They got to come back.
I want Nash to come back in some way.
Yeah.
It was just a tease to get his wife at a scene in the last book,
We know Maggie's living in Manassas at the complex, so
yeah, they're all at this, commune of like what Skip McMahon is there and
Skip's there.
Pretty much, it's like the retirement village for all rap characters, right?
So, is there any scene in Total Power or another where we hear about the kids? Like, is there ever like, oh yeah, Maggie's living up with them in Manassas and Rory is in college, or Shannon,
no,
the girl
they just say that Nash has like 4 kids or whatever.
That you don't get any specifics that if they're home or if they're away, how old they are.
Yeah, I don't think Kyle doesn't age rap like Vince did. So,
yeah, I don't know, man. With that lacrosse game though, two things were going through my mind. How nice, right? The Nash family is at peace, enjoying some family time. And then the veteran comes up to him.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch.
Yeah, he was like, thank you. So many of us are not recognized, and the fact that you were is kind of like recognition for all of us. And, Nash is kind of touched by that. So maybe that's where he starts to think like, maybe Mitch was right, and doing this is a net positive for the country. Maybe Nash is going to come around.
Right. But then, right after that scene, we get them going to dinner. And the kids do not listen to their father.
No.
She goes out driving. But I guess, like, if she doesn't go out driving, then they go to the house and they get all 4 kids. So
right,
you could argue that that's a positive, I guess, in that sense.
That's true.
And she gets taken. And Nash goes apeshit, like any father would. Like,
right.
And then what did you think of the part where she's taken hostage? They take him to the mall. He puts, like, Ahmed up in, like, a sniper position, and then calls all the media agencies, or calls like the 5 news networks, drives up onto the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, shoots a bunch of people. Nash comes in, and then Rap stabs him with an EpiPen.
Right.
Because he's going apeshit, because he wants to go in there himself. I like that was a smart thinking on Mitch's part.
Right. I mean, I like the scene. I was, after a whole novel of really no action, I was finally like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And I was into it, but it was still lacking something. I like that decision, right? Because Nash is not in his right mind. He's going to go trade himself in. And Mitch knows, 1, he doesn't want to lose a friend, frankly. But 2, he knows the damage that would do to the country. This hero just got recognized. It's not only Nash's time to shine, it's America's time to shine, right?
Right.
We prevented the attack. We have this badass guy. And at one point, there's even this quote, we sent the message, you fuck with us, and guys in black masks show up, put a bullet in your head. It'll make them think twice before, any of these guys volunteer for another one of these one-way trips. If Nash dies publicly on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, our whole ability to fight terrorism is undermined. Our whole patriotism that the country just rallied around is undermined. And I think this would be like jihadi propaganda 101, right? Like,
right.
Rap knows that, and so he eliminates Nash or sidelines Nash with the injection. So cool stuff. It allows Rap to go in there, full tack gear, go in. Scott's on the comms telling him where he thinks he is. Like, I think he's hiding the guy to the north side, so turn right when you get up the steps. Kareem is listening to the voicemail from Hakeem, and he's calling him back like, you fucker, don't you call me that. I'm going to show America. I'm going to bring down the great Satan. Like, Hakeem, I'm going to kill you. You're a weak-ass pussy, blah, 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 blah. And that anger in Kareem, his ego, his drive for power, his narcissism is his downfall because he lets Hakeem get under his skin on the phone, which allows Rap to take the shot. So, cool stuff, but here's the one thing I'm going to say about it. It didn't have the texture I was looking for, if that makes sense. Like, I'm thinking of, imagine the feds, the National Park Police, just everybody and their mother storming the National Mall when the country's already on heightened alert. I'm thinking helicopters everywhere, just 100% like chaos. And I didn't feel that in the writing. I think of this like one scene from West Wing when the president's daughter gets taken. There's lights, there's sirens, the camera pans in this weird way. Everything slows down for a minute. Everything's a blur. The characters are stumbling around. It's just chaos. Obviously on screen, you feel that a lot more because of the senses. But I think writing could get there too. And I don't know if this scene activated all my senses. Because of the words, I can see the lights and sirens flashing. I can hear them. Time is blurred. I don't know what's going on. There's complete chaos. And the writing didn't elaborate on that or bring those feelings out in me. So I wanted more texture.
Well, just related to the last book where we mentioned how, the scene in NCTC
right
takes a total of, I don't know, a minute. But the way it's written, it's like time slows down.
Right. You feel it.
And you feel it.
Exactly.
And typically with Flynn and with these big set action piece chapters,
right,
you get more description, you get more, what's going on or in the surroundings, and it was, again, we built up this entire book to this point.
Exactly.
And we didn't even get it's almost like Kareem got shot off camera.
Right. Snap your fingers, it's done.
That's how it felt to me.
Yeah. We said the same thing at the end of Transfer of Power. You built up this whole story, and then the final storming, they parachute onto the roof, they flashbang it, they do whatever they do, and it's done. It's like, oh, yeah, HRT, came in, did their thing. Wicker took the shot, guys landed on the roof. It was just over. I felt that way here, too. The whole book was leading up to this. It quickens the pace, which I liked. It quickened the pace. I love these chase or end scenes where the pace just ramps up.
Yeah, the last 10 chapters or so were after they got back from the Bahamas. The chapters were, you wanted to keep reading. You wanted to keep reading.
Oh yeah, and that was great, right? That capture of the Flynn style, it came through. That Flynnianism came through, but just not with the depth, or it didn't pack the punch that it usually does.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. The two scenes I'm thinking of, you just said these big sweeping kind of battle scenes. Opening scene of Memorial Day in, I think it's Pakistan. Every moving piece, the armies are like a chessboard. You can feel the mortars coming inbound, right? It's happening. And then another one would be Lethal Agent, where they're in Yemen and they're escaping the burning village where the virus was. There's so much maneuvering and tactics and the environment. I know they're in the desert, and you felt like you were in the desert reading that. You felt hot. I did not feel all the lights and sirens and the lit up memorials. He could have described the hues, the different colors of the memorials at nighttime or sunset, clashing with these light with the sirens and the lights, and I just was lacking some of that.
Yeah, even books that we didn't necessarily like, but in Executive Power, the whole description of Rap creeping up on the one camp and looking in the flap and seeing the guys in the jungle.
So detailed, so textured.
Very, very detailed.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This is a strange book because to me, like I said before, most of these novels you can pick up and read any single one. And I think if you picked this one up without having read the previous one, you'd be thoroughly confused.
Yeah.
And it was very disjointed and didn't pay off in the end.
Yeah.
You even texted me. You were like, when we recorded the last pod, I think both of us hadn't yet finished rereading the rest of the book, but we knew the action was coming. And you were like, man, I hope the action at the end of this novel lives up to, making the book worth it. Or not worth it, but a better book. And I don't think it did.
Yeah. I remember I was like, you know what? That Lincoln Memorial thing that I remember happening, that was pretty baller. I hope it salvages this book and the ranking of it. And then when I finished it, I was like, yeah, that was a good scene, but nah, this is last place for me. I venture to say it just might stay last place when we get to the end of this whole project. But currently, I think it's sitting below Executive Power and Separation.
I don't see any other novel that would go below it. I can't remember one.
Yeah. You know what's cool though? Let's turn a positive page here because
yes,
I gotta admit something. I love this cover.
You do? Which one?
Adore cover A, the classic.
The classic one. Yes.
Lincoln Memorial.
You get the Lincoln Memorial, which is like
fitting.
One of my biggest pet peeves. One of my biggest pet peeves. Have something on the cover that is related to the book.
And it has those colors I was just describing. These dark, nighttime, eerie blues, dark, deep, like sea color blues. But it also has the bright white of the memorials, how they kind of stand out like a beacon of hope or strength. But it's still a stormy sky. So the dark blues, the gray sky, the bright whites of the memorial, and the bright white of Vince Flynn's name and the title. I just love the contrast, the design, and how this cover fits. I'm going to say so far, yeah, this is my favorite cover we've seen so far.
Really?
Yes.
Really? I still think the motorcade with the flag waving for 2 books ago, right? When Irene got taken.
Active treason. Oh no, active treason or protect and defend.
They
both had
protect
flags.
And defend. Yeah. But 2 of the other covers I really like are both centered around the memorial, which is where all this action is, or the mall where all this is taken. And you have in B, you have the very similar, like this nighttime with the lights and the blues, right, and the darks, where you have a guy. This is the typical standing man, running man. Yeah. And he's on, where all the flags are near the Washington Monument. And I also really like the H,
yes,
even though I think that might be daytime.
That's the new Kindle version.
The new Kindle version, which is pretty nice with you looking up at the Washington Monument.
Yeah.
So yeah, the covers for this were pretty good.
They were pretty good.
Besides our cover C.
Ooh.
Let's get to it. The elephant in the room.
Cover C. What are you doing?
Is there power lines? Is there power lines?
There's no power lines. But they're still in the middle of the desert. There might be something in the background. Can't tell, but it's a little blurry. But why are we in the desert? Just tell me, Chris. Why the fuck are we in the desert?
Honestly, you could have this. It's a running man chasing after someone else. Why not have that on the mall?
Why not just slap the Lincoln Memorial in the back? You know why? Because they went to some random website. Pick one. Cheapest option. They went with the cheapest option. Spit out a cover. We'll take it. Oh, it's orange and sandy. Okay, what do you call those big tumbleweeds? Tumbleweeds. Why are they? Okay, you could argue this is somewhere in, I don't know, Iowa, where the terrorists are on the run. Have the RV. Just have the RV. You can't tell me this is the terrorists. No way this is Hakeem. They're running through an open field with tumbleweeds blowing everywhere. I'm done. That's it.
I would argue this is almost as bad as the one where we had the Christmas train scene.
Oh my God.
Where why there's a running man running next to a train in a novel that has nothing to do with trains.
I don't get it.
Oh my God.
And the orange. It's just a sandy yellow orange. I'm like, does this take place in North Africa? Is this the Sahara or the Sahel? No, it's not. It doesn't take place.
This novel makes you when you pick it up, you think you're going to be spending time in the desert.
Right. Or I wouldn't be opposed to a Libyan storyline. I don't think rap ever really does much with the Libyans, but there's got to be a lot there if you want to tell that story. Pursuit of Honor does not do that. But this makes me think of Libya, Morocco, Tunisia.
The only thing I think you could argue is that they were going for Iowa and the Midwest with the terrorists, but it doesn't make sense because rap doesn't go there. So
this is like Iowa 2060 after some massive Al Gore was right climate change stuff. This is not Iowa right now. There's no corn. Corn can't grow here.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so bad. It's so bad.
All right. I'm moving on because D&E. we've said this before. I think some of these are just geared towards Europeans who want to see badass operatives fully decked out in gear. Americans, right? So you get, two dudes decked out, weapons up, weapons drawn. I don't know. Kind of cool. E is all right. E's kind of cool. G is weird. What do you think about G? Really strange.
G reminds me of like a like if you get rid of the guy with the gun, it reminds me of like a rom-com poster. Like,
yeah. Like if this had Friends in the middle.
Yeah, what is this this nation, or where is this from?
I believe that is Hungarian.
Hungarian.
The military dude with the weapon and some civilians in the background kind of makes sense for like an Eastern, Southeastern European vibe with all their kind of coups and revolutions of the last, half a century. So I feel like that definitely would work for a Hungarian. It gets you on the edge of your seat, right? Who is this armed guard looking at these civilians with the weapon?
Yeah. Most people on social media picked A, so.
Yeah, A is a beast.
Everyone agrees with you, Mike.
Hot take. That's my favorite cover so far. It's
hot take. Favorite cover of all time.
So far that we've covered. I like Kyle's. I like some of Kyle's covers. So
I will say the covers have gotten
Killshot might take it.
Much better.
Killshot's pretty good with the Eiffel Tower.
With the Eiffel Tower.
We'll see. But I like this one.
Okay.
There's some positivity for you, Chris.
There you go. Well,
give me one more. Negative Nancy.
Give me one more positive. Who's your winner of the book?
I know it's not his shining moment, but I like Nash getting the accolades at the end. I like his family being together. So I know he's not very proactive in this book and doing anything good. He's kind of an antagonist to Rap in many ways, but still.
Yeah, very much so.
I like his family. I mean, at one point when they're all together, there's a quote, Nash smiled and thought to himself, this is the way it's supposed to be. And then the president, when he says, on behalf of a grateful nation, it's my honor to present to you the highest award achievable by a member of the intelligence community, the Distinguished Intelligence Cross, for a voluntary act of extraordinary heroism involving the acceptance of existing dangers with conspicuous fortitude and exemplary courage. That's my winner right there.
That's your winner.
I liked it. How about you?
For me, I really like, got to shout out Steph K and give her some Scott Coleman talk here. I like Scott Coleman and team. Like I like having him in there as this, as I mentioned, this buddy cop, parody with Rap, and Rap like sends him off to find Johnson, and Rap sends him off to, figure this out, and then sends him the whole scene in Nassau is driven by him and his team and how they drive up in this van. And it's not like what Rap even says. It wasn't like what you see in the movies where you hear like this screech and then you take the guy. You like actually could drive past the little details that Coleman and team were able to do, and Wicker is able to get the shot and take out Ahmed.
Yeah.
So I think they're the winners of the book. They did really good. But the second thing I will point out is the hints we get for American Assassin.
You're spot on.
And we get one at the very end where Nash says, I'm your boss now.
Yeah.
And then Hurley's like, yeah, not a good position to be. I was his boss for 2 years. And Rap says, well, I remember I saved your ass when you were my boss one time, just like I saved his ass over in Afghanistan. And it's just that's the whole plot of American Assassin.
You're so right. You're right. That's the winner. And we kind of have to go back to the first half, part 1 of Pursuit. The winner was Hurley. And the hints, the foreshadowing coming up, you're so right. And the few pages he had in the first half of the book, Vince made perhaps the most compelling character so far since Rap. We're in for a treat next month.
Yeah, because when you read that line, you're like, oh, I want to know when Rap saved Hurley's life. And then boom, we're going to get it. That's just, it puts you on your edge of your seat at the very end of the book. And I like that.
Especially because in the first half of the book, I was all in on Hurley. I kind of forgot about him. I was like, oh, he built up this awesome character. I want to know more. And then all this action happens at the very end. I kind of forgot. So then that scene at the end where they're sitting around the fire and Nash goes to take care of his family and Hurley and Rap are mouthing off. Like, yep, that piques your interest. That was a great move to put that in there at the end. Nice pickup. Yeah. I like that. Nice catch.
I have some good ones every now and then.
Good stuff. Good stuff. You nailed it today.
All right. So that's Pursuit of Honor. All right, so next time, we're working on a few things. Don't quite know what we're going to be releasing on the next pod, but it'll be something good. So hopefully that a couple of things we have in the works will pan out. Again, can't thank you guys enough, but need to thank our patrons, our special operator, Sherry F., our special agents, George, Matt, Dawn, Dennis, Peggy, Catherine, Ray, Bridget, Jeff, and Mark. Please subscribe, rate, and review us using your favorite podcasting platform. You can find us at midtrappod.com or on Twitter and Instagram at midtrappod. And as always, I have a bad feeling about this one. Change it up there.
Yeah.
Just a disclaimer, this podcast is not affiliated with Vince Flynn, Kyle Mills, or Simon & Schuster, but thank you to them for bringing us the wonderful world of rap. And the music soundtrack is Guerrilla Tactics by Raphael Crooks.